Episode 10 of the 9-Point Start with a Dream podcast. Hey guys, welcome to the 9-Point Start with a Dream podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jacoby Gillum. Today's episode is something different. We're all about showcasing the journey of athletes here, but today we're going to do it over a DPT student, my guy Neil out of New York. Neil's going to do big things in the future, as he already is now. So here we go.
Basically, I'm a DPT student. I'm a third year. I currently work as a PTA in neuro rehab. It's something I do enjoy, but I like venturing out to other settings too. Whenever I'm not in school or anything, I like playing sports, mostly handball and basketball.
When you were young, what would your biggest dream as an athlete or just as a person in general?
Basically, trying to be sort of the best mover out there. Trying to find different strategies to sort of win a game or, try to be better than the next person.
How often were you playing handball?
I played mostly in high school. Actually, I started up in high school, and we won championships in high school, stayed undefeated. We were in the Catholic High School League here in Queens, so that's where it pretty much started. And I know handball's not too big out within the U.S., but like in New York and East Coast, and
Cool.
sort of like win-off serves,
Awesome. So diving into this whole DPT life,
Yeah.
what made you do that profession?
I think what I liked the most was I like sports and I like science. I was like, hey, where can I sort of combine that? And then the more I got into it, the more I realized that it wasn't really for me. It was more for like the patients, the sort of clients, because like the more you go into it or throughout affiliation, throughout like internships, the more you realize you're sort of like that superstar behind a superstar, which I
like that.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, like as long as you're moving, you're an athlete. And it's not like you're the athlete to like the highest level, but you're an athlete such as like trying to get out of bed or trying to like get across the street. There's so many obstacles you got to go through that like you're a mover, you're an athlete. You're an everyday athlete.
I like that. That's tough. So how did you kind of go about figuring out how you wanted to go about this process of becoming a DPT? Like how it's becoming like first you become a PT, right? How was that journey?
Yeah. So basically, the difficult part was, you still got to get your prereqs in. You got to do all the basic sciences. And then you also have to volunteer within the setting. So you have to do so many different hours. It's like 100 plus more for like requirements. So when you're in the settings, you sort of see what PT really is. And it's sort of like a realization for you to sort of, hey, I do want to be in this field. I'm willing to spend 100 plus hours, whatever hours to do the observation so that I could get into these programs.
Awesome. So when you're volunteering like at like on sports places, or you kind of just
It's sort of whoever wants to take you on and teach you. Me, I my time in a sports PT of New York. That was a company back then. I also did it in like a private clinic and in a hospital, Elmer's Hospital in Queens. So it's cool. I sort of saw like three different settings that were like completely different.
Awesome. So how much more school do you have left before you're officially a DPT?
I got about half a year.
Half a year. You pumped?
I'm pretty excited.
So once you finish, is your goal to stay in New York? You want to go other parts of the world or U.S.?
Eventually, I do want to go to other parts of the world. I feel like there's so many people out there that are such great like gurus or teachers that I want to learn directly from them. And I don't want to stay confined to like, one part of the country or whatnot.
Awesome. So I'm not too on it, like what it takes to be a DPT. So like you have to like have a different kind of niche down to what you specialize in, or just you just look at all of it?
Sort of as you go through the DPT program, they sort of graduate you as like a general clinician.
Okay.
So as you do, each program has it built in where you can do internships, and it's typically 4 internships. And throughout those internships, they're often different settings, and that's how you sort of go and feel out, sort of where you want to be.
Okay.
So it's interesting. I actually completed 2 internships so far, and one was at the VA, which was the Veterans Affairs with the U.S. Department. That was pretty cool because I worked with a couple of veterans, and another one was just a private clinic here within Queens. So I got to see like your typical like geriatric population and such.
Awesome. So from what you've learned so far as a DPT student and what you are, I guess, learning from like volunteering, what's one thing athletes can start doing now, maybe kind of be a better mover, like you were saying?
Most of it's learning. You just keep learning, because what I'm noticing is that the more you go through the coursework, the more you realize that there's so much more out there still. And, you know, it's refining what makes you you, and sort of how you bring in all these different treatments and sort of combine it for that one person, because each person's different, and you're sort of trying to find what's the best path for that person that you're working with.
So I know for me, I've learned the most from mentors. Like having courses work is great, but having a mentor to kind of help kind of guide you through certain aspects the book can't teach you. So who's been like your biggest mentor through this whole journey so far?
To name names specifically, his name is Dr. E. We like to call him Emil Euparadon. And he's been the co-owner of the clinic that I'm working at, but he's also the director of a PT program in Dominican College. I think he's been really great because I got to learn sort of the within the clinical side and sort of the educational side, you know, sort of how do you become that teacher for your patients, sort of have them get to know what they're going through. I think those two aspects have been pretty big.
Cool to see that we all have mentors, you know. Some are longer than others, you know, some kind of for short term, some for long term, but I think they all kind of help us increase that learning curve.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw on your Instagram that you volunteer with like adaptive sports events. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, so this past summer I volunteered with it's called the Life Rolls On Foundation, and it's also Wheeling Forward. Wheeling Forward is sort of like a small organization here within New York, and it was pretty big. It was nice because you got people coming from so many different disciplines. You have like regular athletes or just people on the weekends who are free to sort of help, and people from different programs. And basically it's sort of to connect the quality of life for a patient and, you know, sort of the things that they like to do. Because like, for example, for people who are confined to wheelchairs, they never think that they could really, you know, go out and surf. And that was pretty big to have them on board and to actually like ride a wave. It changes their perspective and yours too, because it's like, you know, I'm here helping them. I'm here like sort of building on their own successes. And I feel like it's very gratifying, you know?
Dude, I want to learn how to surf so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how to surf, but like watching them, I'm just like, damn, you know, I could maybe.
Yeah. I need to figure this out. Like last year, I learned how to snowboard, and I was like, okay, next is surfing.
Yeah.
I need to get on that. I need to find a way. So I found you on Instagram because you have some fire videos you were dropping.
Thanks.
So how did you get started with that? How did you figure out, you know, I want to make an Instagram account and do some fire?
I think mostly it's because one of my end goals is to sort of change the perception of physical therapy. Usually when people think about it, it's usually like, oh, heat pack, cold pack, maybe electrical stimulation, and do some like generic exercise. I don't think that it should be just that. I feel like it's so much more to it, and to sort of get the public to know more about it. You know, it's more of like specific exercises, more of like knowing the science behind it, and it's sort of like biomechanical assessing. And I feel like that's the biggest thing.
That's dope because you have some videos on there that was breaking down different pro athletes and their injuries, and I was like, that was so unique because no one's doing that. And I think athletes could really regulate with that because you kind of seeing like someone you idolize in there and then what they go to, how they relate to you. So I'm gonna add some links to your page on the bottom of this, and people kind of go check you out some more because I think you're doing some great stuff. Especially like as a DPT student, you're doing more than most DPTs are, you know, actually doing on their own Instagram. So much respect.
To sort of transcend PT, you know, to try to get it into other fields, to see, you know,
Definitely.
how we can help, because it's all about collaborating.
Definitely. If you're listening right now, we have Neil have some articles on Napoli right now that you can go check out and see more of his tips and stuff for athletes and just because like you're saying, if you're a mover, you're an athlete, and I think that's important to know. So we kind of work toward winding it down a little bit. Where can we find more about you, Neil? Social media, website?
Right now I don't have a website, but I'm creating a blog.
Okay.
Comes up, stay tuned.
Awesome. For sure, man. Appreciate having you on, kind of highlighting your journey so far and just what you're working on. I look forward to seeing you, in the future with the DPT degree.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the 9 Point Startup Degree Podcast. I was your host, Jacoby Gillen. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment, share, leave a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can check out more about what we're doing with 9 Point at 9point.com. Till the next episode, talk to you soon.